Very fitting that I'm wearing my galaxy print leggings because I'm talking about Mars, which is in space and that's part of the galaxy. Although I wish I had Mars printed leggings, that would be so much cooler. Hi, it's me, Bergie, and I'm here doing another book review. Obviously, by the title, I'm doing The Martian, or I'm reviewing The Martian, which I know it's kind of late. The movie already came out, and most people read the book before the movie, but I haven't had a chance. But I've been wanting to read this book for a long time, so I finally got to read it, and it was great. Now, I've always loved space. I was one of the kids in like 3rd grade who was like so excited to learn about the planets and all that kind of stuff. And Mars was by far my favorite. I even did a project on it where it had big cube and each side had different aspects of Mars on it, and it was just awesome. But that being said, I'm also terrified of space. Now I know I'm never going to put myself in this situation where I'm going to be up in space. But even just like watching stuff about it, I can't do it. Either one, the movies they all have puking because I mean you're going so fast going into space that you're probably gonna puke, and I don't do well with puke, which is like not even important in this at all. But the other thing is, like I could never watch Gravity because that's like my biggest fear, just being trapped in space and floating around. And like even with the trailer for that movie, I couldn't watch it. Like I started having like very bad anxiety, and I like was starting to get a little bit like not catatonic, but like I was getting a little bit of like inner paralysis where I was like just so scared that I couldn't move. But I did before I could get really bad because I have weird fears that take a hold of my feelings and reactions and just mindset, and it's just not good. But yeah, so I just wanted to get that out of the way. That I love space, but I'm so freaking terrified it. So like The Martian, as I said before, by Andy Weir. If I was in this kind of situation, which I never literally I would never ever sign up. Even if it was like, oh, you can be the first person on Pluto, which is a planet, just saying, wouldn't be able to take it because I'd be so freaking scared. I'd probably die from shock and fear, and it would not be a fun time. And yeah, I would not be able to survive how he does. Or does he? Spoilers I will not give right this second. But to the actual book, it is so good. Like, I didn't expect it to be this good. Like, I mean, I heard people say it. One of my favorite YouTubers, he is obsessed with it. So I was like, why? So I read it, of course, and it is so good. It is really, I can understand why he's obsessed with it. Because it's a great, interesting, kind of like unique storyline, I guess. I don't know, I haven't read anything like it. And he uses a very like scientific basic. It's very scientific. There's a whole bunch of like chemistry and botany and engineering, that kind of stuff. They do explain it, so it's not like you can't understand it if you haven't taken chemistry. But it is very interesting, and it seems realistic. I mean, I didn't do any research to see if it is correct or anything, but it seems plausible. But it was just really interesting. And then the character, Mark Watney, he is just amazing. He is so sarcastic and sassy and just great. I just love him so much. And the thing is, I know that, oh my god, what's his name? Shoot. Who's the actor that plays him? I should know this. It's not that hard. Who's the dude with Ben Affleck all the time? Holy crap, this is really bad. I'm an American, I should know his name. I actually have to look this up. This is pretty sad. I'm a little bit embarrassed. Matt Damon. I knew it started with him, but I kept on thinking Mark, and I was like, no, that's the character he plays. But yes, Matt Damon. I know Matt Damon plays Mark Watney in this, but for some reason, I pictured Matt Damon in the beginning because, of course, I was shown I've seen the trailer before, so I kind of had that in my mind at the beginning. But then I was like, huh, you know who would have been a good Mark Watney? Paul Rudd, because Paul Rudd has the greatest like sarcasm and sassiness ever, and he's just like so witty, but it's like so underplayed, and like he curses a lot, and that's exactly what Mark Watney does. So I thought he would have been a great Mark Watney. But I mean, Paul Rudd can't be in everything, even though I want him to be. So I mean, Matt Damon, I guess, could be a good choice. I mean, I haven't watched the movie yet. I probably will try to, but I don't know. I want to be careful because, as I said, I get very afraid when watching science, or not science, when I watch space kind of movies. So we'll have to see how that goes if I'm feeling up to it. But yes, back to the book. Totally recommend it if for some reason you haven't read it already. It's very easy to read. I read it in 2 days, and if I wasn't focused on classes or wanted to eat and sleep, I probably could have finished it in one day. But I was like, nah, let's drag this out a little bit, even though 2 days isn't dragging it out. But it's very easy to read, very funny. I was literally guffawing the whole time. Right? That's the word when you're just like kind of snorting to yourself while laughing. That's what I was doing. I was just guffawing every like page of this book. Although I did also cry a little bit, and I was actually proud of myself. I didn't like full on like cry, but I did tear up. So you do feel very emotional during the book. Also, like when there's like so many life or death situations, like you could feel the anxiety. So honestly, in this book, you could feel the emotions that the characters are feeling, and I think if a book does that, it is really good because it transports you into the book and it makes you feel like the urgency that the characters are feeling, and that's always great. This book is divided into logs made by Watney, who is the person on Mars, and then it is different other people, either people on Earth in like what is it called, mission control? I want to say mission control, but I think that's wrong. I'll try to see if I'm correct with that, and I'll put it down here, the correct one. But either between mission control or there's the other group of people who kind of left him behind, which they're not assholes for doing that. They were totally, it was a good call to leave him behind. But there's little snippets of what's happening on that crew's spaceship called Hermes. So we get a lot of different points of views, but I of course loved Mark Watney because he's such a smart ass, and it's just hilarious. Because he uses words like explodey and dumbassery. I mean, I love people who make up their own words because I do that myself, so I embrace that. I think that's everything that is non-spoilery that I wanted to say, kind of. But I mean, I'm not going to go really into detail about it because it is a great book and I want people to read it. But I mean, there's some parts that might be considered spoilery. But so I'll just like include the spoilers introduction just in case you don't want to hear it. Even though I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be spoiling plots in it. So yeah, if you have not read the book and you want to read the book, without having any more knowledge than what I've given, which wasn't much, it was more me rambling, then stop watching from now on, because I'm going to go into it. Right from the beginning, Mark Watney is cursing, which he curses a lot in the book, but it's totally understandable. I mean, he's stranded on Mars. You're gonna curse because you have shitty luck that you're stranded on Mars. Or at least I would be, because I mean, I would not like it at all. But the thing is, he might be cursing, but he's just like so calm and so like sarcastic about his situation. Like honestly, that he's obviously using that to deal with, I guess, like subconscious fears of being trapped on Mars with really no kind of hope or knowledge. Like he knows it's going to be a long time before he could potentially be saved, and even that is like a slim chance. So he's using his sarcasm to calm himself and prevent him from like going off the deep end and just being like, there's no hope, I'm gonna die on Mars. So that was just like really cool to see that, because I definitely would not, again, I'd probably have died the second I realized that I was alone on Mars, because I mean, again, I'm afraid of space. Yeah, so he was just like so optimistic and so great about it. Like you had to like him from the beginning. And his like whole mindset about his situation is just great. Like honestly, I doubt many people would be able to react that way. And that's why it's pretty hard to be a astronaut, because you have to be able to act like that in hard situations, because I mean, astronauts are the frontier people. They don't know what they're going to be faced with. Like, there's so many different things that could affect the situation, so they have to be good at that kind of stuff. Like I said before, there was a lot of different science aspects, chemistry, botany, and that kind of stuff, because, I mean, as an astronaut, you kind of need to know that stuff, especially when you're on a different planet, because you need to be able to fix things whenever something goes wrong by yourself. You can't have, like, there's no real contact, I guess, between you and the Earth, so you have to be able to know it by yourself. So there was a lot of science, and I really enjoyed the chemistry aspects of it, even though like it wasn't really like out there chemistry, like you had to be a chemist to know what it was. It was very interesting because I always loved chemistry in high school, so it was nice to get back into that when all I'm doing right now is just literature, so that was nice. And yeah, with his sarcasm, Mark Watney was just like, he has a great sense of humor. And again, that was probably used to cope with being alone on Mars, which is totally understandable. I really, though, did not like Annie. She was just like a story chasing bitch in the beginning. She did redeem herself, because when, who was it? Was it Teddy, I think? The main dude in Mission Control, who was like the head of everything, he was like, oh, we're gonna sacrifice Watney so that way we don't bring the other crew in. Like, we'll try this even though it's a high risk of it failing, but we don't want to, we'd rather kill one person than 6. So he was like that, and then she was like, oh, you're a bit of a freaking coward for doing that. I mean, they have a better chance of saving him, so it's a low risk, even if you do have 6 people who potentially could die, but there's a high risk and kill one person. So I mean, yeah, it's hard to see, but if you can have a lower risk of 6 people dying compared to a high risk of 1, yeah, you should go for the lower risk one, because you're probably gonna save all of them more likely. So she did redeem herself there, but in the beginning she just was like wanting a story. She wanted pictures just so that way she could save her ass with all the other media people, and it just pissed me off. But then again, I just hate media in general, so again, I like literally the entire time I was reading about the Iris launch, I was so like anxious. I was just like, holy crap! My eyes were like popping. And the thing is, I decided to read this bit when I was in public, so I'm pretty sure if people were looking at me, they could have seen something wrong, like something was going on in this part of the book, because I was like super into it, and I literally, I was walking into the classroom holding my book open to read it as fast as I can, and my face was just like, just so very unattractive and very random, so people probably didn't know what I was doing. They probably thought there was something wrong with me, because I get so invested in books that I literally feel what's going on. I love that there was a Lord of the Rings reference. That was just great. Nothing more to say about that. I was very happy to find out that Commander Lewis's first name was Melissa, because it was like, we share a name, and finally there's some cool person who has my name in a book. So I'm set for life now because Commander Lewis, she went to Mars. She went to Mars. So now I technically, because someone named Melissa went to Mars, even if it was a fiction character, I don't have to do that. I've lived it through her, through our names. Because I make that kind of connection in my mind. Because I'm weird. And then again, I was anxious when Hermes was getting to Watney because, I mean, there was still a chance that it could all go wrong and then all of them could have died. But I'm not going to say what happened, but I just could feel it. Even though this is spoilers, so I mean I could, but. And I guess I will spoil it, even though this is the spoilers again, but I mean, whatever. I did start tearing when Watney was on board Hermes, when he was finally, like, he knew he was saved. I just, like, oh. And when everybody in Mission Control, I really think that's the wrong word. But, whatever. When everybody was cheering back there, I was just like, oh, he's coming home. It's so great. And I don't know, I just really loved Mark Watney. He was just hilarious and great and sarcastic and sassy and just like a smart ass. He's just like all the great characteristics a person could be that's like sarcastic, and he's just amazing. Because he says things like, okay, there's this whole part where the people back in Mission Control are asking a psychiatrist how she thinks Mark Watney is, like, psychologically. And the dude, one of the scientists in Mission Control, is like, I wonder what Mark Watney is thinking about now. And then it cuts to Mark Watney's log saying, how come Aquaman can control whales? They're mammals. Makes no sense. Like, Watney. That segue was just great. Just hilarious. And then just the interactions between Mark Watney and Mission Control. Still don't think that's right. But through Pathfinder, just hilarious. Like, Mark Watney's being told that everything that's happening, all like the interactions between him and the Earth through Pathfinder is going to be broadcast. And he immediately says, look, a pair of boobs, and draws like the parentheses with the dots in between, because like he is just such a child and he's hilarious. And he's basically just flipping off media, and I love it. He's just great. And then he says how great duct tape is, which duct tape is amazing, but even on Mars, it's great too. And then he makes up names for things because, of course, he's the first person who's stayed on Mars for extended period of time, and I think he's actually traveled the most on Mars. Well, definitely traveled the most, but been in a lot of different areas that haven't been seen before. And so he gives things names, and one of the things he does is give a unit a name. Like, it already had a name, but he gave a shorthand kind of term for it. He calls it a pirate ninja. I mean, that's just awesome. A pirate ninja as a unit. Just think about that. Trying to calculate math using pirate ninjas. Just great. He's hilarious. And I think that's everything I wanted to talk about. I didn't really talk about anything intelligent because, I mean, I don't. That's just how I am. But I just really like this book. I feel intelligent having read it because it did include some science stuff, even though it was fiction. So, I mean, anything that makes me feel smarter is A in my book. But, yeah, if you haven't read it already, and you've watched all this through, this nonsense of me rambling on about how great and random this book is, then yeah, you should go read it for yourself. It's not going to take long, even though it is very scientific. The other aspects of it are what allow you to like get invested in the book and want to read it constantly. So I mean, it is a very easy read, even though there is some scientific knowledge put into it. Still easy, and I just really liked it. And I might go see the movie on. By go, I mean just watch it on my laptop. But I mean, I'll pretend to to go out and actually watch it, but it's not gonna happen. So yeah, I might do a review on the movie or some kind of comparison thing. But again, I kind of pictured Mark Watney as Paul Rudd, so there's gonna be some problems with that when watching the movie. But I think I've rambled enough. Great book, totally recommend. And I'm gonna go now because I feel like I'm saying nothing now and making a total ass of myself, which I normally do, so I shouldn't be too concerned. But I know when to stop, so I'm just gonna go now. So if you enjoyed this, please give it a like, please share. If you haven't already, please subscribe. I'm at 22. Like to get it to 25 maybe by Christmas. That would be great. But if not, that's okay. I don't care. I don't care about you or what you're doing. Never mind. That's not true. I actually do. I'm actually very thankful for everybody who watches my videos and subscribes. So please continue to do that. And I'm gonna go now because I'm literally just talking about nothing. So bye.